Good morning, third graders. Here's lesson number 10 for Unit 1B. In our whole group lesson, we reviewed our cumulative task and we also previewed the learning goals for today. So moving on in your leveled lesson, we are going to review the vocabulary and reading concepts that we have practiced so far. We have a mid-module test on Friday. We'll also move on with our current graphic organizer and begin writing another paragraph. We'll take a look at our our lesson 10 tasks for today, and then we'll break apart into small groups to complete our work. So once again, here's our cumulative task. Again, in the red area here, these are the questions that were changed based on the topic of our writing, which will be selecting a Florida plant. And over on the left side are the items that we have checked off that we have done in lessons so far. So beginning next week, we're going to focus more intensely on researching and gathering our data. Also, I'm going to show you some ways that we can present our learning, and we'll also review the writing process. So those are the three big chunks of information that we still need to cover. Again, here are our learning goals for today. They are the same as yesterday, looking for the main idea and key details in text, and also comparing and contrasting. Today we're going to be looking at the contrasting part. For writing, we're going to continue to work on developing our topic with facts, definitions, and details, and making sure that our subjects and verbs are in agreement. So here's our review of vocabulary, because on the mid-module test tomorrow, you're going to be asked to define vocabulary words based on evidence within a text. So let's just review. Here I have a small piece of text from a larger article called Starting Over. Oops, there's a typo error right there. And we have found this on readworks.org. Two girls in Sri Lanka walk past the rubble that was once their school. It was destroyed in the tsunami, or a series of huge waves that hit South Asia in December of 2005. So our first question asks, what does the word rubble mean based on the clues in the text? So at this time, your teacher would pause the video and we would have a discussion on what this word could possibly mean based on what the author has given us. Moving on to the second question, what is a tsunami? Again, pause the video and have a discussion on what this word could mean based on evidence within the text. So we're also going to practice citing our textual evidence because, again, on the test, you're going to be asked to do this. So here's the rest of the article that I had found on readworks.org called Starting Over. And then we have a question at the bottom that we're going to answer using evidence from the text. A tsunami is usually caused by an underwater earthquake or volcanic eruption. The recent tsunami smashed against the coast of 12 countries in South Asia and East Africa. Tens of thousands of people were killed. Millions of others were left homeless. Since the disaster, the world has reached out to help people rebuild their lives. Officials predict that it could take up to 10 years to help the region recover from the tsunami. So our question asks, what kind of damage do tsunamis cause? Use evidence from the text above to support your answer. Again, your teacher will pause the video where we can discuss the answer to this question. So we're going to move on to what we are currently working on, the comparing and contrasting of our two articles so far in this module. The moon seems to change and at the root of it. We will continue our focus on text features today. Yesterday we looked at how the texts were similar. Today we're going to focus on how these texts are different. And again, we're looking at text features. So here's our graphic organizer from yesterday. It's on that gray paper. We worked on the center part yesterday. So today we're going to look at how the moon seems to change and at the root of it are different. So you would write your differences in the column underneath the heading of the text. After work with the graphic organizer, we're going to move on to producing a piece of writing. So I just wanted to review what informational explanatory text should include. They should have the topic, and we're working to gather information and group related information together. That's where our graphic organizer comes into play. We want to make sure that we draw facts, definitions, and details from the grouped information in order to convey it clearly and to develop the topic. So things that I'll be looking for in your paragraph. Be sure to include linking words and phrases to combine ideas within categories and between categories. Also, they can signal cause and effect. An event happens as a result of another one occurring. Linking words and phrases also prepare the reader for a transition. They are important when comparing and contrasting ideas. So here's a sample text that I had written based on what we were reading at the root of it by Robert Newell. This, I think, was the final chapter in our text. Notice that the transitional words and phrases here are in purple to highlight. This prepares our reader for knowing that we're going to move on with the next item or topic in our writing. So finally, during our small group and independent work time, you're going to begin a paragraph with the information from today's graphic organizer, the one on the gray paper. This paragraph will compare and contrast text features in The Moon Seems to Change and at the root of it. Be sure to include your facts, definitions, and details. Make sure to include linking words and phrases. Check to make sure that your subjects and verbs are in agreement. And finally, your sentences should be complete thoughts with capital letters, punctuation, spacing, and make sure you have legible handwriting. Here are your Lesson 10 tasks for today. There's just one reflection journal entry. Choose an illustration from At the Root of It and an illustration from The Moon Seems to Change. Compare and contrast them. Use details from these texts to support your answer. We have another comprehension piece, a Halloween text with the main idea and key details, very similar to the one from yesterday. Here you're going to look at both the similarities and the differences between these two passages. As always, you're going to be choosing an independent book to read silently, and make sure that you have passed at least one reading counts quiz for this week. In addition to our mid-module test on Friday, these tasks are due, so use your work time wisely today. And that is the end of our lesson. Thank you for listening.